A 70-year-old man in Essex is living out of a small camper at a parking lot. A sudden move after leaving an apartment caked in black mold and walls that were cracked. The CBC's Sanjay Maru joining us now live. Sanjay, how did he exactly end up in this situation?
Well, Chris, this all started back in February. That's when we first told you about John Kobelnak. That's when the town ordered him out of his apartment. Now, officials at the time performed an inspection deeming the apartment hazardous to health and safety. At the time, he was still allowed to come and go during the day, and at night, he would sleep in his electric mobility scooter parked just outside. However, that all changed just weeks ago.
It's not really that comfortable. I mean, but at the same time, you got to take the good with the bad.
Parked near his former apartment of 12 years, this small camper is where John Kobelnak now calls home. The only thing keeping him from living on the street.
May 5th, the building inspector and then the chief inspector both come to me and said, we're out today, no exceptions, gone.
The town had given Kobelnak's former landlord 30 days to retain an Ontario professional engineer to assess the apartment. Town officials say an engineer was recruited, but their review was delayed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The locks were changed, and Kobelnak was out for good.
This is where I sleep at night.
Living here is definitely a challenge. Impossible to keep outside noise from disturbing his sleep, with little room to store food except for a few frozen food items and some drinks. As for garbage, there's only room for a small bag in the sink. But Kobelnak is still grateful. After all, the camper isn't even his property.
He came to me one night and just said, well, they kicked me out, I can't stay. He says, do you mind if I just stay in your parking lot? I'm going to sleep in my car and then I can keep an eye on my stuff. And I was just like, he says, you don't have a car, you have a covered motorized scooter. I says, it's not even a car. And I felt bad for John, and I had the means to help him out.
Shingle knows his camper isn't the most comfortable place to live, but says it beats living on the street. However, Kobelnak's time inside the camper may not last much longer, as Shingle plans to resurface the parking lot as early as next month.
Eventually, they're going to dig that whole parking lot up and resurface it, and I'm sure that's going to be a couple of weeks where, yeah, we aren't even going to be able to park our own cars in here, let alone John's camper.
This means Kobelnak will need to find another place to park the camper before that happens. If not, he's at a loss of where he'll go next.
Sanjay, what other options does he have, and what are other officials? What are they saying about what he can do next?
Well, officials with the town of Essex say they are empathetic to the 70-year-old's situation, but added they believe the building owner for Kobelnak's former apartment is, quote, acting in good faith to mitigate the problems at the property. Now, in terms of what options Kobelnak has to avoid living on the street, if indeed that camper is no longer available come next month, they are few and far between. Officials for the area who help people looking for housing say the wait list for affordable housing remains months, even years long. And for those who need a place to live now, they would have to seek emergency shelter. I also reached out directly to the building owner of Kobelnak's old apartment, but I did not hear back. Chris.
Thanks for this, Sanjay.